Hello everybody, welcome. Good day. Yeah, we just got the London Open here, and price is already starting to break below. Breaking below support by 4202. Hey, what's going on here? Why is my trading view lagging? What the hell? 5 minutes not working, or what's going on? 5 minutes. All right, there we go. Yeah, chat. So today we got FOMC, and with FOMC, we're gonna see the markets range quite a bit. At least we can anticipate. You see this consolidation here? This is all because of today. All of this wick, all of this range over here has specifically been made just for today. Right, so hopefully today we're gonna break out finally, and then start to get some overall direction here in the gold spot market. But right now it is kind of, you know, like bearish on the daily time frame. Previous daily candle closed bullish. That could be the start of the bull run as well, what I'm pretty much anticipating here for today, or rather for the rest of December. We got SMA kind of holding this daily candlestick down, but you know that could easily flip. We got FOMC happening much later on today as well, so it's just kind of like 50-50. You know, price could push down more and then kind of price that in, or it could start moving up from now. People could already start getting to buys. So this is us here, just, you know, showing up to the races and just waiting for the show to start. And right now it's, you know, daily is at 0.05%, so nothing's really started yet. And yeah, everybody's just kind of like, you know, just waiting here. Vic, are you Brazilian? Oh, no, I'm not Brazilian. But I've gotten that quite a bit before. I'm just mixed race, that's why. Good morning, J Trinexi. I can't seem to hear. Oh, wait, you can't hear. Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Microphone was not on yet. Yeah, microphone is here now. Thank you for letting me know. What I was basically saying is we're just ranging here until FOMC later on today. So, you know, that's the whole reason why we've been wicking this whole time. It's just pretty much just for today. Today is the main day that, you know, price is supposed to move. We're supposed to head somewhere. Yeah, we're supposed to be heading somewhere today. So yeah, be rest assured, guys. Don't you feel confused about the market right now. You know, some people, they're gonna think, yo, it's a bank holiday, oh, it's December, it's this and that. Man, it's none of that. The reason is just because of FOMC. That's the only reason. Don't let anybody like fool you. This thing can start skyrocketing from today, setting up for the rest of the month here. So that's what I'm waiting for, price to break above 42.40. Hopefully I want to see something like this happen, and then, you know, we start seeing that volume kick back in. Get that smart. Remember, guys, money does not sleep. You think rich people are going to be like, oh, it's December, I'm going to take a break now, I don't need to make any money. When has a rich person ever said that they didn't want to make money? When? The most greediest people on this planet. When do you think that they're going to go and take a vacation because it's a December holiday? Man, some of these guys are going to work through Christmas, you know, they're going to work for money more than they care about anything else. So right now we are just waiting for these rate decisions, and you know, once those come out, I think we're gonna have those. We're gonna have some pricing in over here happening, you know. So don't get it twisted, guys. Don't listen to people tell you about bank holidays, this and that. Let them. When people tell you they want to take a vacation, you tell them you take a vacation. You know, you go for it. You know, you take that vacation. Because I think like, there's a kind of special thing happening here that we haven't had a scenario like this. Like, you know, coming from a government shutdown to having rate cuts like this, and then Trump also in the mix. I think this could actually stir up something in the market, you know. So I would say, like, you know, just keep an eye out on the market. Just, you know, just have one eye out on the market, because once we start to move, if you're going to take like a few days off, you're going to take a week off, man, you're going to come back and see some insane movement. And then you're going to be like, damn, I wish I was trading. I wish I was on the chart. You know, so just keep one eye on the market, because you're going to take a week off and maybe you're going to come back and then see something like this happen. So these are, you know, really good opportunities here that we have on the horizon to actually catch some really nice bomberclots. Bomberclot runners. Even if you're not a good trader, like, trust me, you're going to get on the right direction and you're going to have a higher probability of trades playing out in your favor. None of this investment advice, you know, obviously, but yes, that's what I'm looking out for. That is what we are waiting for. But right now, we are not doing anything until, I think, 10 p.m. is when the FOMC is. Let's see, yeah, that's, no, about 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we said that was about 6 hours past the New York session. We got FOMC. And that's it. That's the kind of like the main event here today. And let's see the rate decisions. I think they should still be up by 87%. Oh, we got 10 hours. Look at this. 10 hours, 53 minutes, and 30 seconds. The countdown is on. Oh, it came down a bit from 89 back to 87.6. But still pretty high. Imagine that like a trade. This is basically like a trade. You know, if you're going to take a buy, imagine you're going to take a buy and then it has an 87.6% probability of working. If you just take a random buy on the chart right now, it kind of feels like a trade, but you know, nothing is 100%. So I think it's a very good way of looking at probabilities. It's a high probability, but it's not 100%. So whenever you take position on the chart, it's always kind of the same mentality, right? Always the same mentality. And you're only going to get this number here based off the amount of sample sizing that you do. You know, so if you're going to take, like, let's say 100 trades, out of 100 trades, what's your number? So you got to figure this out over here. What's your number? Out of 100 clinically approached trades. Because when you start doing it in forward testing, you're also going to have a bit of your own edge. You know, sometimes you can avoid certain losses, sometimes you can execute on certain wins. But what's the clinical edge? The one that's, you know, 1 + 1 + 1 = 2. So you get that probability, and then you're going to have an idea of now how you're going to approach that when you're forward testing, because you're not going to clinically approach it when you're forward testing. Let's be honest, chat. You're going to do all your back testing and all your back testing. It's going to get you on the road, but you're never going to be perfect. You can never be perfect. You can never have textbook. So that probability is going to give you like a good idea of what you're going to expect, right? Because, you know, emotions come into play, and, you know, patience, waiting. Some days you feel good, some days you don't feel good, but it's going to give you, like, you know, it's like one of those weight scales. You ever see those weight scales which show you they send like some electromagnetic shock through your body like quick? It's like very, very subtle. You don't feel it, but it can tell you your body fat, it can tell you your water weight, it can tell you your muscle structure, like those weights. But those weights are not 100%. They're maybe off by maybe 5 or 10%. You know, maybe like 3 to 5%. They're a little bit off. So you're going to get your clinical stats, but you're also going to be off, like, you know, slightly a little bit off, you know, because like just like this, nothing is going to be like 100% working. I think that's a good thing, you know, that's what gives you your edge. Today's still not trading, doing backtesting today. Tomorrow back to trading. Oh, nice. Yeah, today is still going to be like, it's going to be a little bit iffy. So we're waiting, like, you remember yesterday we had prices skyrocket up and we were just being patient. So we're just waiting for a similar thing like that today as well. See if like price can just completely melt downwards for us. And then see maybe we could get some sell continuations. And that could happen so fast. I think that happened yesterday. Like, we're 1 hour into stream and then we start getting like 70 pip 5-minute candles. So yeah, it's gonna happen. could happen. I think if you can only trade one selective setup repeatedly and remove emotion, that's going to be a W. Yes. If you're going to master one setup, that's going to be the best thing that you're going to do for yourself. Like Bruce Lee says, fear the man who has mastered one kick. It never gets old, you know? Never gets old. That's kind of like what you want to do. That's what a lot of like UFC fighters do, you know? Like they're gonna hone into whatever they're good at, whether they're gonna be more of a wrestler or a boxer or a kickboxer. Then you gotta master. There's this girl I saw on social media the other day where she mastered a kick. It was a specific kick. She was a UFC like woman fighter in I think Thailand or something like that. She just mastered one kick. And you know, a lot of the people were saying, oh man, she's not gonna go far with this kick. You know, it looks like a silly kick. But all she did was just that one kick. And man, let me tell you, if she connects that kick, it's game over. That's all that she's got to do. She's just got to connect just one or two of those kicks. You know? Some of you are trying to do everything. You're trying to be wrestlers, boxers, try to do it all, but you can't do it all. You got to focus on one thing. You ever heard the saying, don't spread yourself too thin? That's very true, because imagine now if you're also going to have like multiple businesses. And you got to see how can you give each business the right allocation of time. You know, in a day where you got 24 hours, how can you do that? So sometimes you're going to spread yourself too thin. And when you spread yourself too thin, this business here could be the one that skyrockets, but now you're focusing on all of these other ones over here. So everything gets slowed down a bit more. Then that's when you got to start taking things off. You say, oh man, I can't do this. Got to remove this. Gotta remove this. And as you're removing them, man, you start to see the power in these ones. They start to gain. You start to gain more power. Gain more power. He doesn't fear the man that trains 10,000 kicks. He fears a man that trains one kick 10,000 times. Yeah, 10,000. Let me see how many trades let's actually calculate this from when I started recording this data over here. So let's see how many times is it gonna show. Oh, but it's already written up there. Okay, that's too much admin right now. That's a lot of trades. That is a lot of trades. 271 plus 27 plus 14. That's 412 trades this year. Last year I did, let's see, adding with last year, that's 745 trades. Adding on this year, this was not even a full year. This year started in like September. But since we've been journaling and streaming, I've taken about 845 trades. 845 trades. That's a lot of hours waiting too. Because sometimes you get an hour wait for wait for like 1 hour or 2 hours. You know, trading for 6 years. Yeah, that's a lot of hours. That's a lot of hours. I think I've paid my dues. I think I've definitely got my 10,000 hours. %80 of my trades of the past couple of years are buys, but it's 95% gold. So that only makes sense. Oh, 80% of your trades over the past couple of years are buys. Interesting. Yeah, you know, we always gotta have like some kind of a bias. That's what I've realized. Like for me personally, I think what my bias used to be for a long time was sells. I always used to kind of like approach sells and avoid the buys. But nowadays, I guess it comes and goes, you know, like look at this. Look at how many buys that I took here in a row. That was like 8 buys I took in a row. And 1 sell. So I think my bias has been, at least this December here, like quite bullish because I'm just waiting for the bull run. I'm just anticipating like any moment now that price is going to start skyrocketing. So yeah, that's what I've been looking at. Don't get yourself fooled. Vic is a master at this craft. Yes. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think I'm pretty good at what I do. And it's good to be confident. It's good to say that. You know, a lot of the time we say a lot of things under our breath that's manifesting a lot of insecurities in our lives. You know, like, oh, should I do this? You know, we think about a lot of things. Should I do that? Maybe if I do this, that's going to be a bad thing. Maybe I should avoid that thing. Maybe it's not. You know, like when we got to think like that in our heads, you know, also it's going to manifest like false signals. You know, the universe is going to get confused. Think like, what's going on here? So you have to always have to be clear about whatever it is that you're trying to do in life. You know, if you're trying to go for something, you put that intention out there and you go for it. You don't half-ass things, right? That's the last thing you ever want to do in life, is half-ass something. If you got to do something, do it. Don't dip a toe in and say, oh, you know, maybe I'm going to try this out. No, if you're gonna jump in, jump in. You know, that's the last thing you want to do is a dip a toe in. You know, that's when a lot of second guessing comes. Like if you think about the amount of times that you ever went swimming and, you know, you just like dip a toe and it feels really cold and, you know, you're there standing, and the longer you stand outside of the swimming pool, the more anxious you get. You know, the more you start talking yourself out of it, the more you start getting comfortable. And then it's only harder to do it later on. But if you just dip a toe and then jump in, it's like ripping a bandage off. That's how I look at things. You know, just do it. You're gonna do it anyway, so just do it. If you're gonna do something, like just have that foresight, you know, think about where you are now and what you want to do. If you're gonna do it anyway, just do it. You know, like Shia LaBeouf, he says, just do it. You know, you waste a lot of time just standing here. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do it, just do it. That's already a reality. You just have to step into that reality. That's all you gotta do. You just gotta walk through the door. Yeah, let's see here. We got like 30 minutes. 30-minute candle is flirting with 30 support. And you got a range here of about, is that like 80 pips? 80 pips is flirting with the idea to sell off and like correct some of that range. But you see, obviously, price is is anticipating a lot of something here. This is waiting to jump into a cold pool. There's a toe. Literally, this is a toe right here. It just dipped its toe in the water and said, oh, yeah, it's too cold. It's too cold. Let me just get back up here real quick. Because, you know, it's coming down. Like if you gotta get like some sellers in here, then, you know, it's gonna come in real nice. But as of now, I'm not really expecting too much, to be honest. So I'm just kind of like showing up to the chart. And if we move, we move, and maybe I can catch something like yesterday. You know, yesterday just showed up to the chart. Didn't really expect too much, but then volume started coming. Where's 4200? Oh, nice. Yeah, we're just right here by 4200. That's true. That is true. Extremer Ricardo. We just tapped 4200 and just had like a small reaction off of it right there. 4200. Price chopping on every time frame. Yes, sir. That's how it works. If one time frame is choppy, man, especially if the higher time frame is choppy, then, you know, the lower time frames are going to be choppy. But lower time frames can be choppy, but higher time frames cannot be as choppy. That's a really nice market fade. I hadn't taken a market fade in a minute here, but, you know, this looked pretty good this morning. So, you know, price created a support, and the whole idea here was, okay, so if we're going to create a support and we have clean range, this is the area of least resistance, you know, for price to go down, because as price have already moved up over here, it already filling up some of this range, and we've got like some rejection wicks, and also, you know, starting to break below previous level of resistance, now becoming a again resistance, failed support, become resistance again, break and retest. And then we got like some SMA confluences there as well. We got the 8 SMA, just classic TFX concept stuff. And then beautiful little kiss of death over here, clean range, and you know, worked out pretty well. Worked out pretty well to come down to correct this move. And that's it. That's all that was. It came back to retest the entries too. Looks like, because you know, obviously this is where the sellers were coming in, so it came back to retest the entries, see if there's any more sellers in the market, where it like came down to like fully clean up that range down towards like support. But whenever we're looking at these ranges, we're not really always looking to fill the whole range, because you know, sometimes something like this could happen to you where it like comes really close and then comes back up. So we're looking just to fill like a good portion of it, or take a slice of the cake from it. But that's kind of the roadmap, correct, of where we think now price can be heading to next. Some people look at these as FVGs. We look at them as no VGs. Yeah, and then price went through it. Boom, boom, boom. It's just like been consolidating ever since that move. That was the only move that we could have caught for the pre-London session. Correct? If you looked at it as objectively as possible, this is like the only clean move we could have caught from the pre-London session. That's it. The rest of it here, you gotta make some stuff up, but the reality is, you know, price has just been ranging ever since then. Like it's more compressed. So definitely there's a big difference between the way price looks here to how price look here. See, that feels a little bit more open, right? This feels more like clean in a sense. It feels like price is moving nicely. Like, you know, fuel's burning here quite nicely. And then this gives you a different vibe, right? That gives you a different vibe now. Right over here. Now it gets a bit gravelly. Or you're getting off like when you're getting on a dirt road. Right? You get on the dirt road. This is the tarmac road, and then this is the dirt road. So whenever you're trading, you got to look at what market condition you're trading in. You got to know the difference between tarmac road and dirt road, because you gotta approach these two roads slightly differently, right? Yeah, so let's see. 4200 is holding as a strong psychological mark. I was kind of hoping we could see price sell off, but it's coming back into the gulag here, which is pretty big range. It's like all the way from, let's do this, from here to here, it's about like 213 pips. 213 pip range. Price is just moving sideways like this. See, 0.05. Yeah, for a bullish bias, we'll have to break through this range. It's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot for price to break through that range, so we can get the daily bias indicator over here, the super secret 2.5 indicator to flip bullish. And then, but to go bearish, I think it would be usually easier, because we all know, like, sells, there's a lot more sellers in the market than buyers, generally speaking. So I just gotta wait and see. Yesterday was quite a surprise though. Like, if you look at the PA from yesterday, and then how price just started skyrocketing up here, came out of nowhere. We're pretty much in the same situation here, and then candlesticks just started moving up. So we may see something similar like that. Yeah, but finally, at least market's opening up here a bit for me as well. Managed to snag a little trade yesterday. Man, nearly got stopped out on this one. I was so mad at that trade. I was just like, at some point, I was just like, just stop me out. Just stop. Wait, did I post it? I don't think I posted it. Yeah, but like, it came pretty close to getting me out. And I was just like, oh man, just get me out already. Then it started to flip again. And I was like, yes. Finally, secured something over there. Secured something over there, and then secured something again today. So it's slowly like coming back. Like, I think the market, you know, touch wood. But I think the market it's good. It's good. Like, in terms of performance, I'm still where I need to be at for my December monthly gains. But there's a difference, you know. Sometimes making 9% is easy. Sometimes it's difficult. You know, it's definitely required a lot more mental strength in terms of staying disciplined and not doing something stupid. That's for sure. It's still the same 9%, but definitely a lot more mental strength was needed. And a lot of the time, it's like during times like that, that's when a lot of people actually end up struggling the most, right? Because they think every 9% is just going to be the same, but it's not all the same. Sometimes you got to really practice self-discipline. You know what I mean? But like, it's just sometimes that people, they can get the easy 9%, but it's hard for them to get the difficult 9% because they're gonna like have these emotions that, you know, always get in the way of trades, as we already know. Overtrading, FOMO, revenge trading. Some of you already done it today. Some of you have already broken some rules today. You know, some of you have done some of these things. You've already forced trades or taken too many trades in a single point in time when you should maybe have spread it out a bit more. That's what I'm talking about. You know yourselves. But that's what true character development's about. So don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a point to get improved. Something to improve, right? All right, let's go ahead and see what the newspapers are saying over here today. Gold import duty unlikely to be changed amid stable CAD outlook. There is no cause for concern for current account perspective. There's surge in gold imports as seasonal, and these imports are coming under most favored nation MFN regime with 6% duty. Oh, okay. Basic customs duty on gold was more than halved from 15% to 6% in July. Apparently, it's really good to trade gold in the UAE because the UAE has different customs approaches towards people who are gonna like bring gold. Most of the richest gold smugglers live in the UAE because, you know, it's much easier for them to get through customs. You know, a lot of these other countries, when you're gonna smuggle gold in customs, what's gonna happen? The government's gonna want to hold on to it, you know, because it's a lot of money, so they're gonna make up a lot of things. But in the UAE, it's like it's somehow more lenient. Whenever there's a circumvention, we are plunging it. Where under the grab of something else, gold or platinum is coming in. We lowered gold import duty a while back, and it is not under consultation right now. Gold steady ahead of FOMC decision. Gold price over 42.10 per ounce on Wednesday, remaining to trade within a tight range as markets anticipate a Federal Reserve interest rate cut later in the day while seeking clearer signals on policy. So exactly, you see, you got to trade what you see, don't trade what you feel. You know, a lot of people are going to feel, oh, it's the December holidays, that's why price is in a tight consolidation. Man, just talk from like points of information, you know, like if you come on here, you can see exactly what gold is planning on doing. You know, most analysts expect a hawkish cut. A hawkish cut with a, what does that mean, a hawkish cut? With Jerome Powell likely to signal caution on further easing amid persistent inflation. A hawkish cut. So what's that, like 25 basis points? Because there's something I saw like it's about a 50 basis point cut. Fresh data showed resilience in the US labor market with jobs openings extending a streak of stronger than expected readings, while ADP data indicated a rebound. See, strong official demand together with solid ETF inflows and physical buying have helped push gold roughly 60% higher year to date. I think hawkish is aggressive, so a bigger cut. I don't get that either. A hawkish cut, yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be more aggressive actually, because you know in the market it's sometimes paradoxical. You know, it's like a hawkish cut could mean something that's not as strong because a Well, where am I going with this? I'm losing my train of thought. You see, that's what happens now when you overthink. Your brain starts to get analysis paralysis. You know, so the hawkish cut, not as strong for the economy to be stronger. That's how economics and markets operate, you know. Sometimes it's like so paradoxical. But yeah, let's just wait and see. Hawkish equals sharp slash strong. Yeah, maybe I think we're just gonna go with that one. We'll go with that. Because I did hear like something like about apparently 11 out of 12 members were going for a 50 basis point cut. Like we really wanted a strong cut this time. Maybe to avoid any cuts in too early into next year. Like they're just gonna take the bandage off now. They're gonna rip it off now and then deal with it for the, you know, because whenever we get rate cuts, they usually come towards the end of the year. So we're gonna take like a big bandage off now, so at least we can push it again towards the end of next year. But if they do 25 now, then maybe they're gonna have to do a 25 in the second quarter or towards the end of the first quarter, you know. So we'll just wait. You know, that's all speculation anyway. It doesn't really help us make any money. Because remember, at the end of the day here, what we're looking for is volume. So even if they give us rate cuts and price still behaves like this, still can't trade it. So we just wait for that volume to kick in, and I think then it's going to be really nice. Now we got to get some solid information, direction. All right, let's see what ChatGPT says. Hawkish means Fed is looking to hold rates or even raise them. Dovish means rate cuts. Yeah, exactly. So wow, that news reports out. Yeah, that's where the confusion is. Because yeah, obviously hawkish is bullish, dovish is bearish, and it said like hawkish cut. Maybe it was a typo. You know, sometimes I think they're gonna make like a few typos here. Expect a hawkish cut. This has been posted by Trading Economics. And also it's like bad writing anyway, because even if you made a typo here and still said dovish cut, it also doesn't make sense because you gotta just repeat the same thing twice. My analysts expect a dovish cut. So that would also not make sense. Don't these guys use ChatGPT? Sometimes just use ChatGPT to clean it up. Vikash, hello. Thank you for the sub. 50 BP will freak the markets out. Powell doesn't want to freak the market out. Yeah, it doesn't. And you know, he's retiring anyway, so I don't know, like, does he even care? It's pretty much done, Powell. So it's like, you know, when you're leaving your job, some of us, we don't care at that point anymore. You know, because we know we're already out. Some of us care though. Some of us care, want to leave things properly. All right, so let's see if price comes down to like 4,200. Like starts to break below this wick over here. You see how like accurate that is? Look at how accurate the market is. Just look at how intentional it is. You know, right here at 4,200. That's a needle in the haystack. Because some people are going to think like, oh, it has something to do with something back here. But no, it's just like, it's a psychological mark. So, you know, in trading, you always got support and resistance. So you're going to have always these marks. So you're going to have a, let's say when price will come down, then create a support. That's going to be a physical. It's a physical support, right? And then another one is psychological. So if you got like around a number, like let's say $4,000, that's a psychological, just the same way as this, that also acts the same way, correct? Then another one, obviously, now we're going to look at our indicators, which are going to be the SMAs. So if price is coming down like this, and you see you got like a sell setup and prices shooting on downwards, that's another psychological form of resistance at that point. You know, what else is there? I think those are the key ones that I use at least. So rounded numbers like this, SMAs, you got your physical. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, depending on what you trade, I guess. Some people use that point of control, that POC. Maybe that's going to be more, that's more of like a psychological, I would say. It's more psychological. So it's important to know the difference, right? It's important to know how these operate. Correct? But at the end of the day, we're just reading this. I'm going to read the candlesticks. Right, the price action. You're reading this and you're reading this. These are the two most important ones to understand. Physical support and psychological support in terms of just rounded numbers. These are the two main ones. These other ones here, they're just going to be like some kind of a confluence. Right? And I'm talking this from the way trading has been. And before, like, you know, we had all this technology and point of control indicators. Like, people would just base off support resistance, physical or like numbers, right? So imagine like the people trading the pits, right? They would have to base their trading basically off like where price is structurally speaking and where price is in terms of the numbers, right? All these extra stuff, these are just extra things. So it's important also to know the difference. These are just like additional confluences. But I think the important thing is always like taking it back to the basics, you know? You gotta always take it back to the basics. The basics is where everything is at. If you look at everything that's good in this world, it just comes from a very basic foundation, you know? You want that foundation to always somewhat remain steady. Steady and consistent. Just say where there's a consistent ways to build houses, consistent ways to build buildings, that structure will stay the same, and then you can do whatever it is you want to do on top of it, right? So you got to follow those regulations first. So, you know, it's like a safe building, and then you can like build whatever you want to build. So this is the idea here. You know, these are the two things that you got to like really master. But you know, this morning we had this on the sell that we took, we had this what do you call it? This confluence right here, right? It was a really nice confluence, and you can see the effect that it also had on the chart. Yeah, on the 5 minute, and then you got to have it like right here. And you got the SMA crossover too. And you see that little psychological level, because there's nothing here. You know, there's like 4210. You don't want to get a rounded number. There's no like real resistance or anything, so you have like just this general zone. See how the candlestick wicked up, respected it, boom, kiss of death situation over here, and then a price crossed over. See that SMA crossover right there? Oh, that's a death cross. It's called a death cross. And that price came down. Look at that. That little psychological resistance. You see how that works? It's different, right? It's a different, it operates differently, but just as important to know. Because that's going to give you an edge, you know, every now and then, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And maybe there's a hidden one that I didn't really mention, because it's like, it's something that I see on the chart sometimes, but it's, I don't know like how to prove it or like how to go about explaining it. But sometimes when you get a candlestick push, I would say it's more of a psychological. Yeah, when you get a candlestick push up and you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then a candlestick closes. Now it could close with a top wick, it could close with no wick, but as soon as it closes, then the next candle, you see what happens, usually it comes down, right? That's another form of psychological resistance, but it's not as easy to prove because there's no physical support, there's no rounded numbers, there's no SMAs, there's no indicator. It's just based off now price action reading, candlesticks and how they behave. That's a psychological, because you know, sometimes what I gotta do is, and you're gonna see in our simulations, when I take a trade and I'm holding it and I'm looking to see how many seconds are left on the clock, I will close a trade and try squeeze out as much of that candle as possible. And then usually when you exit it, then the next candle drops and then starts to do something like that. Correct. So that's going to be I'm going to make a video about this soon. It's going to be another psychological, maybe the couple others that haven't come to my head yet, but yeah, I think I'll make a video about it sometime. See what we got over here. Testing 9:30, 5-minute opening, trying a 1 to 2 RR, went on the 1 month of backtesting, 1 red day. But look at the pattern here. I did learn this. Oh, nice. What is this? Wait, let me see. Damn it. Keep losing it. It's running away from me. Okay, I gotta extend this. See what you said. So you're testing this at 9:30. 5-minute opening. And you're trying a 1 to 2 RR. This is a 1 month of backtesting. 1 red day. But look at the patterns. Here did I learn this. Where did you learn this from? This is a part of your backtesting, your 1 month backtesting. Don't know if those two things were related. But yeah, I mean, this is market structure, right? This is how markets move. This is like now you're going to be diving into how, you know, people come up now with Wyckoff theory. This is how the inception of that could start. Like this looks like the beginning of something of the sort. Yeah, the patterns inside the 5-minute and breakout. Oh, interesting. It's a patterns inside the 5-minute and breakout. Yeah, then you gotta see. Now you have to see like context, like what was the market context of these patterns? Because some of them, like this, for example, this one would play out really nice in a bullish environment, right? Where price is just pushing. It looks like it's pushing. Correct? Something like this. Man, also you got an inverted head and shoulders there. Those are the ones that I like. This one up here as well. This one looks like pretty much the same thing. You obviously got this one, classic. This one pretty much looks the same, head and shoulders as well. None of these are just repeating, right? They just look the same. Because obviously the market wouldn't draw it exactly the same way, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like even here, it's kind of like a lethargic head and shoulders, that one. Kind of like a lazy right shoulder. But I'm just gonna look at that, not as clean. That's another breakout. Yeah, but you know, it's at the end of the day, you gotta focus on the ones which you can see. Because I would say like the best setups are the ones that you can identify. Those are, because now you try and identify all of these, then it's gonna be trying to master. You know, a jack of all trades isn't there a saying something like that? Like a jack of all trades is a master of none. So you gotta see like which one is it that you can really lock into. Then you gotta have like this as a foundation, and then you can see what the hit rates are for each one of these things. I mean, you know, the whole idea behind trading is organization, you know. Like the more organized you are, the more methodological you are at approaching trading, the less time that you waste. Correct? So if you're going to have a way to approach something like this, then you can have less time to waste. So you can look at one factor as market condition, and you can look at one factor as just a neutral factor of just how it neutrally performs, and just have like a list of things like that, and then see like what probabilities are looking like. You know, a lot of this things is just all about like just structure. Like, you know, you don't have to be the smartest in the room. You just sometimes have to be the most organized, right? So once you get that foundation, it looks like you're actually quite smart or whatever, but you're just lazy. That's how I like to look at it. You're just lazy, because that's a good thing. But that's a good thing because, you know, that's what Bill Gates, I think, said. Like, he gives the hardest job to the laziest person, because the laziest person doesn't have to be a genius. He's just going to find a more efficient way to do it. You know, because I'm also not like a smart person. I'm lazy. So I like to do things easy. So if I can't do it easy, then I'll be less likely to want to do it. Correct? So that's for me, it's always been the thing. That's why, you know, there's certain topics like math. I don't really like math because, you know, math is really an easy way to do it. You just kind of have to be a genius for that. So I've always been terrible at math. But whenever it comes to these other things, like where you can be more creative, more flexible, I've been a lot better at those things. Because me and a mathematician, you know, mathematician might find that easy, but when it comes into my realm, he might find that difficult, you know, whereas I find that easy. So I think, you know, it's a pretty important skill to know yourself and how you prefer to get things done. Because if you don't know how you like to get things done, you know, then what are you doing? How do you approach life? You know, you should have this like consciously. You know, some people are like super organized. Everything's organized. Tetra, morning, bruh. Show us today's trade that you executed. Yes, we did. We did already do that. We spoke about that in detail. See, jack of all trades is a master of none, but still better than a master of one. Oh, jack of all trades is a master of none. But how is that still better of a master of one? Very tricky. That's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you're right, but at the same time, it's just a matter of like how you want to be right, you know? Fine. Jack of all trades. Okay, you know a bunch of stuff. Awesome. Right? Compared to a guy maybe who just knows one thing. I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. Sure, you can go to many places and know a bunch of things, but when I go to the mechanic and I want him to fix my car, I want this guy to just know that one thing. I don't care if he reads. I don't care if he knows how to count. I don't give a shit. As long as he just knows that one thing and he's good at that one thing, awesome. You know, that guy can do whatever he wants. He can walk into the car with his shoes, you know, like step on the seats. He can do whatever he does because I need this guy. This is the guy who's going to solve my problems. And he's the guy that, you know, I'm going to give like a lot of value to. Right? So that's just the way I look at it. Just be good at what you do. I think it's nice. I think the saddest thing is whenever you're going to have a career in life and then your career ends. And it's something that you've been great at doing your whole life. You know, for some people, retirement, for example, is not as fulfilling because, you know, that's what you did your whole life. That's all that you know how to do. You know, so you get a lot of joy. You take a lot of pride in your work. But if you're going to be a jack of all trades, how can you take pride in your work? You know, the Rolls Royce guy. There's one guy who does the strip on, I think it's the Rolls Royces. One guy. He's the only guy who does the strip. That's what he does. He gets paid a lot of money to do that. You know what I mean? I get paid a lot of money to do what I do. Just wait. Just sit on my hands and wait for my setup. That's all that I need to do. So let's see over here. Let us see as price is flirting with 4,200 and trying to get below 4,200. I hate such binary quotes. You can be a master at something but still a jack of all trades. It reminds me of basically, if you've ever been like university, that's what they like in university. You know, they like these kind of binary discussions where it's like, okay, now we're getting the class talking. Everybody's like, oh, but you know, this side, then the class splits up. You go one side of the class saying this. Yeah, I don't like that. Like, just like get through the whole thing and say, all right, guys, come on now. You know, we're wasting time over here. At what daily percent does your daily bias indicator register, whether it's bullish or bearish? Like a 40%, 0.40. You know, isn't that funny? Like we encourage debates in school. That's quite interesting. We encourage debates, but I always found them a waste of time. You know, but I get the idea behind them. Obviously, you need to learn how to talk to people, debate with people. I understand the value and the skills that you get from that socially, but when it comes to the real world, I don't have time to debate with you. If I have a business and you're coming to me with debates, you know, you're just wasting time. Wasting time. You should be coming with solutions. You know, because life is, you know, at the end of the day, it is binary, right? It's just ones and zeros. You're either going to make a choice or you're not going to make a choice. So a debate and contemplating is a zero. When you're thinking to yourself, oh, you know, should I do this? Oh, man, should I do that? Or like, how does that look? You're just making a choice, you know, you're making a zero choice. It's a low frequency choice, that is, when you make no choice. It's a zero choice. When you make a choice, that's a one. That's a yes. You know, you want to be asking yourself more yes questions. Also, you got to play the devil's advocate, but most of the time, you should be leaning more towards a yes. Like, yes, this is why I should do this. This is the reason why I should do this. You should put more weight on that and see what the pros and cons are. You know, because sometimes we're just afraid of taking risks, generally speaking, on the charts and off the charts. You know there's something that you need to do, but you're stuck. That's the worst place to be, is stuck. I know a lot of people who get to that place and they get comfortable being stuck. And they're the most like misery loves company type of people, you know what I mean? They find it good to be stuck. So they're going to look for people, like they're going to look for other zeros. You know, like, you know, there's a funny thing. When I used to live in Germany, like they say in the Rhinelands, I don't know what it's called, the Rhineland, or where, yeah, I think it's in the north. You know, there's a lot of old people there. You know, when the weather's shit and they're gonna meet each other in the bus stops, they're always like talking to each other and saying, you know, how's life? And one guy's gonna say, oh, you know, it's not going so well and this and that. The other guy's gonna agree with him. And, you know, there are people like this. So that's, you know, that's kind of dangerous mentality. You get comfortable being a zero. This hourly seems good to close below. Yeah, I think so. In the next, how long? Oh, damn, it's already been like almost an hour here. Got like 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 38 seconds. Then like small break and retest off the 4,200 mark. And then come down. Come downtown. It's like hovering 0.18%. Would still need it to like fill up this range. Look for something interesting. But you see, like 4,200 is holding quite nice. Bleeding. Dump it. Oh, but we got to 7,000 members here on the Discord community. Let's go, guys. 7,000 Spartans in here. Getting closer and closer to 10k. We're manifesting that 10k. Not gonna lie, the cat is mad profitable. Oh, nice. Yeah. Want some attention over here. Cat strategy. That's a dead cat bounce. You know, that's a candlestick pattern over there. So when markets are falling hard, then it's called a dead cat bounce, where price goes like this and then it continues to come down again. Vic, can you give me access to the journal? Yes, I'll give you access after the stream. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Some people fear failure, others hate failure. Big difference. Fear paralyzes you with indecision. Hate drives you. Hate is the ultimate renewable resource in the world. You know, it's like, it's, you know, so is love, obviously, and stuff. But I think hate is usually the inception, right? It's like, it's a very strong burning fuel. Very strong burning. But eventually, you know, you can't just keep going with it. It's powerful, it's good to use, and I think it helps a lot of people in the beginning, right? It catapults them up. It's like rocket fuel. then you gotta learn how to love. And then love is more lasting, right? It's more sustainable, right? But hate, man, hate, you gotta hate first, you know, because like, if you look at people who get into relationships and then they get like their heart broken, man, you see those people, how they bounce back, you know, with all that like kind of like anger in them. Now they start going to the gym, they start making money, they start focusing on themselves. It's a very powerful thing. Because, you know, love sometimes, it's, you know, even the thing about love, you know, I'd rather have loyalty than love, because you can love someone and still stab them in their back. But loyalty is something that, you know, if you love or hate them, you'll always have their back. So for me, I think love is overrated, to be honest. So you gotta like focus on two things: what drives you, and having loyalty in the long run. Be by your side. Type of guy, stand behind you gotta stand behind your friend. You know he's completely wrong, but you are standing behind that dumbass. Right? You don't gotta love him for that. But anyway, price is coming down, and how many more pips we got over here? Like about 40 pips. Like 40 more pips to the downside. Better to be feared than loved. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Especially when it comes to business, you have to choose what you want to be in the office. Do you want to be, would you rather be feared? Or would you rather be loved? You know, what kind of person would you want to be in the office? Because, you know, sometimes when you're loved too much, it's hard to do things. When you're feared, people don't like you, but you get things done. You know who's gonna like you though? Your boss is gonna like you. Your colleagues might not like you, because your colleagues want to take the easy route, maybe, you know? They want things to be chilled. So the moment somebody comes in with ways to improve certain things that disrupt the way things are already being done, they're gonna hate you for it. Because, you know, not everybody's cut out for to be sort of like in the forefront of things, you know? So you gotta choose wisely what you want to be in this world. Let's see, that's 0.20% right now. And still waiting for a breakout. Maybe like price can consolidate, then dump again, fill that range. And then we're gonna look for sells here by possibly 41.93. I think, yeah, by that point, like we should have enough weakness in the market so we can really start to take this thing beyond this point here. And then see if we can get this range filled up. But this is the first range, right? This is the beginning phase right over here, and then that's gonna be the secondary support that needs to break to really like confirm that price is going down. But this is just like the start of the races. Right over here. So don't feel like you're missing this. This is actually a lot more riskier, in my opinion. You're trading into like kind of rejection wicks over here, but once you start breaking below that support, you're gonna have a lot more a kind of a confluence there. Xauusd. Yeah, 21 Savage saying the same thing. Yeah, he did. Also, Denzel Washington in that one movie, I forgot what it's called, but he was telling his son, what law is there that says that I gotta like you? I put a roof over your head. I pay for you this. I pay for you that. Man, I think didn't he not win an Oscar for that role? For that part? That part in that movie? Yeah, loyalty, man. That's loyalty. You know, some of us, like, we're gonna feel bad that maybe we're not loved enough as a kid. You know, maybe we didn't get that love and support that we wanted. But, you know, the job was done. The job was done. Your parents raised you, right? They put a roof over your head. They give you what you need to survive. The job was done. right? So you must see how can you now forge your way on forward. Don't think about like what hasn't been given to you. Think about what you can achieve now. Because I'm honestly the first person in my family to actually break the chain. Because a lot of my family, you know, I come from a pretty basic middle class, like, you know, just a comfortable middle class family, nothing too impressive. Yeah, man, like you just gotta forge your way onwards, you know, just appreciate what's been done for you and don't play the victim. You know, that's the last thing that you want to do in life. Play the victim. Think that life gave you bad cards. You can always flip those cards. You just keep playing the game, right? Sometimes the game gets better. The more you play, the luckier you get. If you stop playing, things start to move like very slow if you stop playing. Just keep playing, chat. Keep playing. Keep on playing. Because, you know, that's my mentality for December as well. Sometimes you get into these rough patches in life where you're like, oh, man, you know, like, price is moving so difficult for me here. So easy to play the victim. Like, you see, I took like a 4 losing streak. These are mostly all pre-London session trades. You haven't seen them on stream, but yeah, a lot of losses over here. Man, at some point, I felt discouraged. Like, even yesterday, I had this one trade which was literally about to lose. And in my head, I was just like, damn, you know, why is it so difficult? I'm still up for the month, but it's like, you know, we like things easy for us. When things get hard, it's a lot harder to deal with those difficult emotions. Even when things are going good for you, it's a lot difficult. That's why you're gonna see even the richest people in the world still like the most depressed people. These people who live in like Hollywood Hills and they have like LA mansions. These people are also like sometimes the most depressed people, you know, they have a good life, they have a good car, but you probably don't want their life, you know, and how they feel inside. So I'm telling you, like that hardship is where that all the growth is. That's where that like truly counts in life, you know, because we're still up for the month like 5%, but even those negative thoughts creep into my head like, oh man, you know, just let me just lose this trade. You know, you start feeling like a failure, but at the same time, that's just your human nature coming out because you can't suppress that like 100%. That's what I realized. But what you can do is you can always take a step back. And when you take a step back, you can see yourself from a third person perspective, because there's a certain way that the human mind is wired where you can't completely suppress negative emotions, but you can take a step back and almost like astral project and look at yourself and be like, man, look at this lemming over here complaining about this. You're up for the month, you know, you got a good brain on you, you got a good head on your shoulders. Look at you right here, you're even having this discussion, but when you're looking down at yourself, you're like, man, but what can you do, right? You're only human at the end of the day. But I think like that's an important thing, is to recognize that feeling, because that's how you conquer that feeling. And it happens all manner of places, right? It could happen in the office. You're maybe at a corporate job. You have like a huge presentation to give. You're really good at faking, right? You can fake it, but outside, you know, you feel something inside, but you're really good at faking. Like, people are really good at faking. And I think it's okay to be afraid. You know what I mean? Because you might think brave people are not afraid. They're just afraid, but they're good at faking it, right? They're good at faking it, man. Like, that's why I say, like, you can achieve anything, you know. Don't think that people are special, you know. Like when you see Trump on there and he's talking to all these people, I'm sure the guy feels a certain way sometimes, but he just gets the job done, because emotions play no role in what you have to get done. There's no time for what you feel. That's when something needs to get done, correct? But I think it's important to notice that first, because for me, there's once you see it like that, you start to feel like the world is an equal playing ground and everybody can achieve anything. But if you're gonna put things on a pedestal, then it becomes psychologically more difficult for you to achieve those things, correct? You look at people and you think, oh man, you know, they gotta be like really special to achieve that Lamborghini. It's not the case. Where are you from? How long you been trading? I'm trading almost for like 6 years. I live in Wakanda. Oh, we got a message here. Hey bro, love your journal spread. Can I have... Yes. Can I have a copy? Yes. So what's going to happen is after stream, I'll go and give you access to be a viewer, and you just got to make a copy and paste. That's what you got to do. Better to depress and rich than depress and broke? Yes, sir. That's what I would say. Before you become a philosopher, become rich first. Because it's only rich people going to tell you money doesn't matter in their mansions. Yeah, but you know, let me get rich first. And I can tell you that too. Because it is true. They're not lying. It is a truth. But I'd rather cry in my... Well, what is that song? There's a song about that as well. Something about crying in my Mercedes. A really classic song about that. Yeah, Chad, don't become philosophers before you become rich. You gotta put your feet on the ground. We're near to break 50k subs resistance. Oh yeah, so close. What are you at? 46,500. You got 50k psychological mark over there. I sound South African. I would like to know. Oh, no, I'm not South African. But I lived in, what is it? Rudeport, Gauteng for a bit. For about like 3 or 4 years. Really beautiful place. It's like, just imagine golf courses and jackals and amazing sunsets and open space and a few big houses on the hills. That's Rudeport. It's more like a really quiet area. Let's see. Prices filled up the range on the left-hand side down towards 41.93. $41.93. That's the first range that's been filled. Now we gotta wait for the second range here. By when we break 41.93, then you know price can come down again. A Rod Bay Area. Thank you for the sub. I mean membership. What a bounce? Yes, maybe it's gonna be a dead cat bounce. But it didn't push like enough to be a dead cat bounce. A dead cat bounce is usually when markets are really heavily selling off. Let's see if it can keep going down. Downtown. Oh, you're in Joburg? Nice. That movie with Denzel is Fences, bro? Yes, exactly. Fences. What rule is there that says that I gotta like you? Always more things to be grateful for than there are things to feel bad about. Yes, sir. I mean, think about the probability of you even being able to send that message, right? Like, what's the probability that you even exist? If you really look at the probabilities, it seems like winning a lottery ticket that you're even here. Correct? Like all those sperm cells and you're the one who makes it. And then everything has to come together in a certain special way to make you, you know, crazy. You know, like maybe one shot of life. Don't believe in reincarnation. So why waste it being a zero? Why waste it just thinking about things like, oh man, should I do that? You know, maybe that's a bit risky. Maybe if I take this risk over here, things might, you know, maybe it might. Like, why waste life talking to yourself under your breath like that? Like, just start making decisions, and obviously with a bit of reason, play devil's advocate, but put more pressure on making a one choice. Don't put too much pressure on making like talking yourself out of things. It's all just energy. Right, just put energy where you feel like you want to put the most. Out of your day, you got 24 hours, right? Where do you want to put your most energy, right? Even when I used to work a part-time job, man, I would give my part-time job the least amount of energy. And then the whole time, I would be trading like a maniac on the side. I would just be looking at charts, reading audiobooks. You know, like I was going through the whole thing. But my part-time job, I would put like just enough effort to not get fired, basically. That's all that I did. You know, it's just like if you're gonna watch The Office, we spoke about this yesterday, The Office 1999. Remember even what the guy said? He does just enough work. When the guy asks him, so what do you do here? There's a consultations guy who came to the office to see what people actually do. But this guy made a choice in his life in The Office 1999 where that he wanted to start doing things that he wanted to do. Yeah, he went to a therapist, and the therapist did something, and the next day he woke up and he felt like not going to work, so he didn't go to work. Then he felt like asking the girl out, so he asked the girl out. You know, and like that's the whole thing. It's so funny because in the end he actually started getting promotions in his job, right, by not caring as much. And they asked him, oh, you know, so what do you do over here? And he was telling the guy, like, I'm gonna do as much work I need to do to not get fired. That's what I do. I come into the office, I zone out for about an hour, do a little bit of TPS reports, zone out again. And yeah, for some reason, gave him a freaking promotion for that eye-opening perspective of how the employees actually felt at the job. He was being honest, you know, and they found some value in that. It's like, okay, you know, this guy's been pretty honest. Maybe there's something we can do differently here. Then, you know, just be honest. I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah, I think there's a freedom in making decisions. That's been a very bad employee. Always give all you can. Yeah, but like for me, I didn't want to work a part-time job. You know, I gave all I can to trading. That's where I gave all that I could. Because if I'm going to be an employee, I would give it all I can, but then I'm just going to be an employee because that's going to require pretty much all the time that I was spending on trading to be putting that same effort into making somebody else get rich. And guess what? That business I used to work for, it doesn't exist anymore. So imagine I put all that work in that business during those years and it doesn't even exist anymore. But I'm here today because I put majority of the effort that I wanted to put in something that I wanted to do. You know, and that's kind of where I was going with The Office. Like the guy did what he wanted to do. And in the movie, like it shows like he got what he wanted to get. He got everything that he wanted to get just by putting the energy where the energy needed to be put. Right? Like life is all about like where you're going to distribute your energies, towards certain skills or towards nothing. It's the same thing like playing video games. People play video games. I'm sure a lot of us who play video games have clocked 10,000 hours on certain game, like the whole time that we play games, we've clocked like 10,000 hours gaming, right? But now imagine that same 10,000 hours in a skill that actually gave you something. Imagine 10,000 hours in the gym. You know, imagine 10,000 hours learning about a skill, how to talk to people, how to sell. You know, imagine 10,000 hours learning how to sell. Man, if you can sell something, you're never gonna go broke. That's a really important lesson to learn, like sales. If you can sell, you're never gonna go broke. So imagine 10,000 hours of learning sales skills, for example. This is all where you're gonna put your energy. That's how I show you. The guy from The Office did what he wanted to do. He got what he got. What the universe gave him was more positive. I had my part-time job. I did what I wanted to do, which was trading. I did enough to not get fired. I got what I wanted to get, you know? That's that clarity you got to move through life with, because the universe understands that signal. It doesn't understand 1 foot here and 1 foot there. You got to be leaning most of the time towards one certain direction. So like in the same way as trading, if you got a strategy, how can you be trading trend lines and at the same time you're trading fair value gaps and all of these other things? You know, you're spreading yourself out too thin. Put that energy in things that matter to you. Yes, sir. Yeah, some people probably have 10,000 hours in TikTok. You know, there's a crazy figure that we spend on average, each of us, around 2 hours, 40 minutes. This is probably more than this. But like 2 hours, 40 minutes on social media per day. Right? And throughout the whole day, we see about 4,000 advertisements. You know, the advertisements could be online. They could be on the street when you're walking down the street. You know, so imagine all this, like how it affects you subconsciously. And you don't even know it because you're not making a choice. Because where's the choice? They don't give you the choice to make. They're making the choice for you. You know, who are they? Who are they? You're going to start to ask. They are the ones who don't want to see you win. They are the ones who want you distracted. So, you know, you got to stay focused. Spiritual warfare is dangerous, man. Like advertisements, it's like spiritual warfare. Comfort zones, comfort food, all that spiritual warfare. Eating garbage, giving your body garbage energy, not feeding your mind the right nutrients. You know, if you're going to look at your YouTube, honestly, look at your YouTube right now. You look at your YouTube homepage. What's your YouTube homepage? Is it Mr. Beast videos? Is it a bunch of brain rot content? Do an audit right now. Audit your thinking right now by going on your YouTube homepage and seeing what are you feeding your brain. You know, I think that's going to be a pretty good place to start over there. So if you're seeing a lot more trading videos, a lot more educational content, that's great. You know, you're feeding yourself very good nutrients. You're not wasting time. You don't have time to waste. The graveyard is the richest place in the world because people thought they had time. So they all died with their ideas because they thought they had time. You don't have time to waste. Dude, it feels like 5 years. Man, give yourself like 5 years locking into something. That's all that you need. 5 years of fully locking into that one kick, mastering that one kick. That's all you need. I'm a beginner trader and trying to get better at trading gold. Please, can you suggest which of your videos I should watch? All my videos are pretty good. I wouldn't make a video to bullshit you just to make a video. I think they're all pretty good. So you just go on my channel over here, and maybe depending on where you are, let's say if you're going to be an expert level trader and all this seems quite basic, then go to Gold Trading Masterclass and then watch the simulations that we do. Right, that's more of an expert level thinking. And then the art of price action is more like, you know, basic stuff, like how to read candlesticks, just basic analysis. So you got like trading psychology and tips over here. But if you feel like you know a lot about trading, go and watch Gold Trading Masterclass. That I think is going to be pretty damn eye-opening. Not to toot my own horn, but you are going to definitely learn something. And you're going to implement that this week or next week, and then you're going to see a better result. You know, you just got to implement these things one at a time. You know, you don't have to implement it all at once as well. You know, you're just going to build that capacity first. So, you know, start like this. You learn that one thing, you build that capacity, you focus on it. Like that's going to be your cup, right? Now your cup gets full. And then as you're understanding, you're creating more capacity, then you can throw on another thing. Right? And then it comes out, you can throw on another thing. It's like weights. You know, when you do weights, you know, in the beginning, you're like, okay, you know, this is good. So let me throw on some more weights. You put on more weights and you're like, okay, you get used to it. And then you put on some more weights because you're building capacity. Because the brain is like a muscle. You know, you can't just start lifting, you know, 100 kg all at once. You won't be able to do it. You're going to cause injuries. Hey, Edward, thank you for the sub. How far do you think gold will fall? I'm waiting for it to fall at least like 0.40% below like support here by 41.93. And if we can fall below 41.93, then I'm going to look for a sell. And I'm going to look for a sell for price to keep moving down. Obviously, dovish cut. I'm going to be looking for a dovish cut. Or what this guy say, a hawkish cut. Oh, is that? Oh, it's already been buried. It's buried in the internet now. We're never going to find that article again. You're a great advisor. Thank you. Thank you, Amilek. Loom. Hey, what's up, Sparta? 520. A dovish hawk. Yeah, that dovish hawk. What do you think of today? Fed news will have impact gold bull or bear bias? I think it's gonna go bullish. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. What do you think about SMC and ICT strategies? Hey, if it's a setup that you can recognize and you can make sense of it, then by all means. But for me, I think it's all fugazi. My YouTube is forex, gym, content, and financial literacy. Let's go. Yeah, that's what you want to be saying. Sometimes they're gonna throw in a girl in there to distract you, so they can get you on the other side of YouTube. You know those thumbnails? They got a girl in there and it has like 1 million views. It is insane. It's actually ridiculous how easy it is for females to succeed online on YouTube. There's OnlyFans. They're all like OnlyFans at the end of the day. If you like really start to follow them, probably have an OnlyFans link somewhere. And all they have to do is just stand there and get millions of views. Or just make a really half-assed video and they get like 500 likes just because they're female and they look kind of pretty. It's insane. It's like, it's an epitome of brain rot, but I understand men of culture are men of culture, and you know, when you see it, it's kind of hard not to see it. But at the same time, man, you got to stay focused. You have to stay focused. So men of culture, don't feed into the algorithm. These are only fans thoughts. But you know, like people on OnlyFans, they're gonna make a lot of money. So they're on their grind. They're grinding. They're not doing it for you. They're gonna make a lot of money on OnlyFans. And that bad baby girl from Dr. Phil, didn't she make like $20 million on her first day on OnlyFans when she turned 18? Insane. Insane. $20 million? How many people would have had to pay for that brain rot? So it's not difficult. It might seem like it's difficult to be part of the 10%, but it's not that difficult. You know, it's just 90% of people are just doing all one thing. All you got to do is just step aside. So, you know, it's a fork in the road. At some point, you're going to get to that fork in the road and you have to make a decision where you're going to go this way. Want to be like everybody else, have friends, have, you know, like all these other things, be the most liked in the office, be the most loved in the office, or be the guy who walks down the hallway alone, right? But you know, you get you get the job done, but you know, you're walking down that hallway alone because it is going to be lonely at the top and a lot of people are not going to like you, especially once you start buying very nice cars and all of these things. You think people are going to like you? Man, people are going to hate you. Once you buy your first like proper luxury car, people are gonna despise you. You know, that's what it takes. Look at that, for example. So do you want to be liked or do you want to be disliked? You gotta choose your path. You have to be a bit selfish to be disliked, because now you're really focusing on the things that you need to focus on, which is yourself. You have to be a bit selfish, but you know, rather that than wither away trying to be liked by everybody, I would say. So don't try to prove anything. Just, you know, in trading as well, just focus on your own journey. You know, take it 1 or 2 trades a day. Just stay locked in. 1 or 2 trades. Okay, so I had a losing streak over here. What could I have done differently? You know, forget about this other guy and what he did and what he bought. Just focus on, okay, so I took a losing streak here. Was there anything I could have done differently? Was there anything with my psychology that was affecting this losing streak? Was I following my rules? Was I leaning too much on one bias? Because, you know, when I did my auditing for these streaks, I started realizing that these were all buys. You know, so I started looking at that and thinking, okay, you know, this Fomc thing and me thinking price is going to skyrocket, it's also making me have a really bullish bias when price is not yet ready. So like, okay, so let me just keep going, but I'm going to move very cautiously here at this point. And, you know, I'm still moving cautiously, and, you know, the results are starting to open up a bit. So you always got to do like auditing, you know, because it's never going to be like you're going to learn a strategy and it's just going to work forever. Like you're going to have some points in your journey, just like any business naturally would have, where you got to audit yourself, audit your business and see how things are going as it's going. Don't do it at the end of the month. Do it as it's going. So you're going to be able to pick up on those things a lot faster. You know, the most recent thing. Think about the most recent thing that you did. That's going to help you more than just putting it off for later. What's your opinion on this? Will GU come to 1.32946? I think you got to send in a chart on Discord. Gold close trade. Oh, you took a buy. You took a buy against the breakout. You got a bit of drawdown that it played in your favor. You see what happened over here? Price was accumulating, and as price broke the accumulation, it paid out, distributed. But you took a buy when market was moving down. And you seem to like to do this. You took a buy here too. Market distributed from this zone that you have nicely drawn over here, and it distributed and it paid off traders, but you took the buy after missing this, and you took a buy here too. Now it kind of doesn't make sense why even have this analysis if you're just gonna do the opposite. Like, I don't get the point of this. You know, you got some W's there, so you made it work for yourself. Can't complain. Profit is profit. That's just the consistency, which is a tricky part. Currently, if I die, I die. There's some nice sniper entries here. Yeah, I did like the opposite. Like, price came down, but you took the buy. See, the price of breaking down here, support. You even draw it nicely over here, and then price came down, but you took a buy. We're waiting for this thing. It's it could melt at any point. Let's see on the 1 minute. 1 minute's just creating new lower lows, still trickling towards the downside. Nothing too interesting. Yeah, it's playing reverse psychology with the markets. That's true. Some people like to do that because, you know, if you're gonna feel like you're losing a lot, so you're gonna trick the market. You take a buy here. And as soon as you take a buy, because every time you take a buy, it hits stop loss, then you quickly switch your bias and take a sell. Reverse psychology. This is a galaxy brain strategy. Yeah, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait for price to get through these levels because it's already filled the range. Right, you see it's down by that support, so we needed to actually break below the support by 41.93. Yeah, it's flirting with the idea because that's going to be the key point, right? Like, structurally speaking, if you look at our kill zones here, like where the market opened from, you have the Asia, which is right here. Asia, these are the Asia lows, and these are the oh wait, no, actually we already broke the Asia lows. It's right here. There's the Asia lows, Asia highs. So we're trying to get through actually yesterday's New York session lows. Swing low right here. So we need price to break below that support. Take out the previous New York session lows, and that's going to give us some kind of a volume, I would imagine, for price to continue pushing on downwards. Because right now it's still trying to break through this general zone, which was also, if you look at it here, I think we can pull out one of Ricardo's patterns and see which one it is. Let's pull this one up a bit more like this. So that's that lethargic looking one right over here. This is that. This is this one right here. Or is it this one? I think it's more like this one right here. Like market consolidated. You see you got a consolidation here. Then the head. And then that's a lethargic. Almost kind of lethargic. It could be more lethargic, but or is it this one here? That looks like that one. Because it's not as lethargic, right? Like this right shoulder. So I think it's more like this one. And price came down. So you got a bit of like head and shoulders pattern here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It broke below that initial support. But this is the true one here, which is gonna really start to give us some direction on the daily. Because the daily still does not have any direction in it. And this is all based off of what we spoke about in the beginning. Physical support or resistance levels. Who is Ricardo? He's an operator. He's an operator over here in the Discord community. He's part of the operations team, you know. Gonna look at things and see how can we optimize. Where can we get info on Ricardo? I don't know if it's got a lot of public information over there. It's quite a secretive guy, you know. Quite a very secretive guy. He's the one who shows different angles to approaching certain things. So you're gonna have to call Bogdanov to get his contacts. I don't know, like Bogdanov. Yo, you got Bogdanov's number? Yeah, I think you gotta come onto the Discord here, and then you just put exclamation mark Bogdanov in the chat, and I think he should be getting back to you sometime in the day. Yeah, Bogdanov is quite a busy man. He's a guy who moves the markets. If you know of him, very busy man. This guy, James Bond. Yeah, this extremer. Yeah, an interesting fact about this guy is the second actor who does a run really nice. The first actor who does this is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, nobody beats Tom Cruise's run. Like that guy's run is just, it's so aesthetically pleasing to watch Tom Cruise run. The second actor is this guy. This guy has a really good run, but it's still not Tom Cruise level run. You know, it's very nice run, this guy. I posted legs days and funny on Discord. Oh yeah, I did see this. This is smart. This is a galaxy brain move right here. I'm telling you the truth. I think this could work. This could work. You just got just enough tension there on the legs, but you know, you focus your energy on where energy needs to be focused on. So we're not diversifying too hard. We're still keeping our focus on where it needs to be, which is this upper body part right here. But at the same time, at least you can, you know, get a little workout on the legs. Yeah, I was thinking about this. You know, the other day I was in the gym, and it's so weird that people sometimes, like how they use gym machines. There's a guy literally hanging on the pull-up machine, but he was kind of like climbing on it like Tarzan. He was like this kid, and he, you know, it doesn't look like he did gyms that much, but he came to the gym and he was like just kind of like climbing on it like Tarzan. Like he'd be turning around and doing weird shit like this, and I kind of wanted to use the machine, and He knew I wanted to use the machine, but he was just fucking around. And then he finished what he was doing and he's like, all right, you can use it now. Like, bro, what were you doing? And I have a question. How do you sometimes do you know why sometimes a candlestick on the chart lag? Like sometimes they open higher or lower than they should? Yeah, it's because it creates a, what do you call, like a mini gap, right? A little tear in the universe that it does. It usually happens towards the end of the candlestick, and that's why we spoke about one of the psychological remember those hidden psychological marks we spoke about, like how when a 5-minute candle is about to close and then you can secure your profit because that next candlestick might rip down. So that's also an interesting one that you've brought up right there. You know, these are like hidden things that the market sometimes do. So you've noticed as well, like sometimes what did you say, sometimes the candlestick on the chart lag, like it's sometimes they open higher. Yeah, you've noticed that as well, right? Sometimes you're gonna maybe have a situation where a candle moves like this, or like towards the end, it's literally happening in milliseconds, right? Towards the end, there's always like something that happens, and then you can have a situation where it's like a strong push, and it happens in a very tiny time space, right? It's like a psychological thing that the candles sometimes like to do. That's why what you sometimes realize as well is if you have a resistance over here and the candlestick is above that resistance, you might even see sometimes there's only like 2 seconds left, but in 2 seconds it can do that. Correct? It's a very small thing, but trust you me, people make so much money on those small variable, those small inconsistencies. You know, when you look at the market is a very sophisticated spot. This is too fast of a reaction for a human, but there are certain robots in institutional settings which benefit off those little small margins of some psychological thing that typically happens, right? That's why you see candlesticks behave those certain ways sometimes. If you've ever heard of like people who do like hyper scalping, they literally do it like milliseconds. And you know, in trading, milliseconds, it could be millions of dollars. That's why you should watch the movie called The Hummingbird Project. And it's just about how fast-paced trading environments, and the guy who gets the fastest data is essentially the one who can make the most money. You know, that's why they pay a lot of money for speed in trading. And you know, when you see things like that happen, just know that there's something more intrinsic going on. But you can't do anything, like you can't really make money from it. So what I like to do is, as I mentioned, is if a candle is about to close, and let's say I'm already in a buy and it's only like 10 seconds, I can still hold it for a bit, because in those last 10 seconds, you can actually push a bit more. It gives you like a little bit more push, and you get the tippy top of it before the next candle open, and then sometimes you get the sell-off. Yeah, the seller's doing that same psychological reaction to understanding how those movements happen, right? I think it makes sense. But a very nuanced thing. You would have to be really locked into the charts and really be much more of a scalper to understand something like that. If you're on a higher time frame, you know, the probabilities you realize those things are going to be like lower, because obviously it's a higher time frame. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. RX Gaming, thank you for the sub. Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, it's all of these things that you notice that can be the difference between you having a profitable system or not a profitable system. Right? Like for me in the beginning, I was mainly waiting for candles to close. Like I thought I would have a profitable system, but most of the time I couldn't wait for candle to close. So every time I would, even with 10 seconds, and then I would execute, then the candle would always reject. Or most of the time I used to lose a lot of money, because at that time my strategy depended on candle closing. But I did not realize that the market was so cunning to do stuff like that. You know, because I didn't have the experience. But I think like over time, you start to realize the market's very cunning, and it's very capable of doing a lot of things that you don't see now, but you will see later. So sometimes when I explain some things, you know, some people are going to think like, oh, I'm just like making stuff up. But that's something you're going to see later. You know, you might not be seeing it now, but you're gonna understand it later. So I call maturity. You know, there's a big difference between maturity of age and maturity in the markets. Just because you're older, just because in real life you're older than me, or maybe you think that you've been trading, you know, you just because you've been trading longer than me as well. Maybe you've been trading like 10 years, but you're still not profitable. A trader who's profitable and who can explain certain things is still more mature. You know, so maturity is going to look differently in the market. Now, one thing about me, if you guys have realized, is I don't really have much analysis, right? Like, my analysis is pretty basic, you know, because what is we're doing here is we're watching candles. You know, we need to see candles move to give us an idea of where price is going to next. So all I'm doing is really just waiting for price to break through the support. Once it breaks that support, we're going to have volume in the market. Once we have volume in the market, now we look for our entry signal. Once we get our entry signal, we take our trade and we're going to have a good day. And then that's it. That's all that you got to do. I manage trades a lot in the 1 minute velocity. I've saved a ton by closing when a 1 minute hesitates, but I've also missed a lot of profits. Yeah, you're gonna realize also some people are good at this. Whenever price is giving you a hard time, you intuitively know that your stop loss is gonna get hit. So you're gonna see some people are really good at managing their risk. You know, they're gonna close out a position before the stop loss gets hit. They're gonna reduce their risk. You know, that all comes with what we call is experience. It's like a gut feeling that you know that something's going to happen based off of you trading that system over a period of time. Most new traders, they have this gut feeling as well. But the problem is with new traders is that they're arrogant. New traders are the most arrogant people because they think they've got it figured out, you know, but the truth is they haven't got it figured out. So they're just kind of lying to themselves. Only up until the point that they get tired with their shit and losing, then they're going to seek out the real information, or they're going to seek out a more filtered information, you know? So a lot of new traders, they're going to seem like they're good. The amount of inboxes I get, man, on a daily basis, people sometimes telling me, hey, bro, I have a profitable strategy. Give me $100, invest in me, $200. I have a profitable strategy. I just don't have money. You know, it's that same delusion that I'm talking about. So you got to be like, you know, you got to like go through that first and then get tired of your shit. So if you're a new trader, let's say you've been trading for like 3 months, you could learn from people's mistakes, or you can just go through it for yourself. It took me about like 6 months to get over that hurdle myself personally. And then I started like basically working my way upwards with just more solid foundations, right? So for you, it might take longer, it might take shorter. Just depends on how tired you are with your bullshit. I used to like talk to my girlfriend all the time, like, and say, oh man, you know, this guy just showed me a secret on YouTube. This guy right here, like, look at this. He literally shows, I always tell my girlfriend this, he's literally showing every checkbox and what he needs to be checked and everything like this. I don't need to buy his course or anything like that. I got it all here. I got it all figured out. I remember specifically one day that I said this. Man, the amount of arrogance, insane. But you know, over time, you start to realize you can't do things like that. You cannot operate in a realm where you don't invest in yourself. You know, I had to make investments in myself. That was the first time ever I ever made an investment, a true investment in myself. In my whole life, it took me all the way up until, you know, my mid-20s. You know, like close to my mid-20s to make an actual investment in myself, which I find is quite crazy if you think about it. Because, you know, a lot of the time, like, when is the time you bought a, like, really invested in yourself, you know? Like, at the end of the day, you know, you get a salary at the end of the month. Like, some of us get a salary and that money goes into our needs. Let's say 55%, and some of it goes to our wants, partying, booze, whatever. Most of it goes to our wants. But where is the section of that percent that goes back into yourself? You know, where is that? Some of us don't have that until much later on. So we're kind of postponing certain growth. You know, because like if I look at a lot of people in their 20s, they're getting married, right? They're getting married, they're having children. Man, in your 20s, you should be working. You should be working and investing in yourself in your 20s. That's what you should be doing. We can have a lot of buyer over there and they're gonna put up the price. If it rejects 41.93, but we just kind of want to see that level break. You know, it's flirting with that level as well, as you can see right here. I think what it's doing is it's accumulating, as you can see. It's just not a small accumulation here to either break below support, and that's going to be 41.93.80, or break above resistance by 41.96.58. And then either one of these two directions should give like some kind of a push. So it's accumulating and it's getting ready for the move over here soon. I'll be right back, guys. All right. Can we start moving now? Can we start to move bearish? Coming closer and closer to where we need to be. I still delaying spending. Spending at one time steady income, 5K a month. Without rent, I can have a really steady life in Portugal once I get to 50 and then only trade for fun of it. Only is fun when you are winning. But I do learn more from lost trades sometimes. Oh, nice. It's always fun when you're winning. I agree with you. At 5K a month would be yeah, 5K a month is pretty nice. Pretty nice start, 5K, and then you know you're gonna look at 10K a month, but you know 5K I think is really good. I thought let's see, Vic, are you single subscription or one-time payment? There are two. There's one that's a monthly subscription and one that's just a one-time payment, which is basically a lifetime plan, which is actually insane because if you get it now, you're just going to be part of it for life. You know, because that's the community that we have over there. You know, like if there's ever going to be a new course or anything of the sort, like you're just going to get transferred into the new whatever it is. Some people are going to charge you that same amount for like 6 months of membership. I'm doing a lifetime. Because I know like if you're just going to invest in yourself, then you need to have a subscription which is at least long enough. You know, like 6 months sometimes it's like, oh, you know, 6 months, whatever, but it's good to just be part of it, so you're always getting that kind of like updates. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the market doesn't always stay the exact same way, right? There's always going to be like, whenever we get our simulations or have these webinars, there's always kind of something that we're going to look at and think to ourselves, you know, what has changed or how could we be more adaptive of this change? Like for this year, what the main important change was a stop loss placement. Like having a much larger stop loss placement to accommodate the volume, for example. Tetra, are you on track to becoming a millionaire in dollars within the next decade? I don't know. I'm still wearing a same black t-shirt. So maybe when I start wearing white t-shirts, then there will be signs that I have now fully hit my millionaire status. When I can afford a white t-shirt. Yeah, mama told me not to sell work. 75 same color t-shirt. Yeah, so just look out for the signs. There will be signs. But check it out. Would you have $1 million to spend on luxury goods, or would you have $1 million invested? If you had $1 million invested, that's an easy $7,000 a week. I mean, a month of not doing anything. An easy $7,000 a month of not doing anything. Or better yet, you know, you can take 500K, invest half of it, so you can get half of this amount, and then the rest of the other half, you can try and grow it back to $1 million again. You know, once you hit $1 million. That's when the matrix starts to open up quite a lot. I'll buy a giraffe and invest the rest. That's a good plan. Yeah, I should buy one of those Rothschild giraffes. You know, they have like a bunch of those. Get a zoo. Yeah, I think I'm gonna buy a zoo. Are you hit a 6-figure yet? I don't know, man. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. You know, the thing with telling people about your money is it never really benefits you. And first of all, people change, people switch up on you, and you know, you don't gain anything from it. Best investment I ever found were condos in ski resorts. Recession proof. Management company handles everything. It pays every month and appreciates. Condos and ski resorts. So yeah, recession proof because the rich people are going to be coming there, right? Because they're also going to have all the money, so they're always going to be on holiday. Man, you can't ask people about their finances just like that. Yeah, but you know, in trading, it's like it's a very normal thing to ask people about that, right? But in the real world, how many people do you actually ask about their finances, like so blatantly? Like, do you ask your friends about their finances? Do you ask your friends about how much they make or what's in their account or this and that? You know, I get it in terms of transparency and all of this in trading, but it's still like the same thing, you know? You only see what I want you to see. That's the whole idea behind social media. Anyway, price right now is still trying to break. It broke once, it came up, it's still respecting the high right over here. At least still respect that resistance point. but it's flirting with the idea of a big drop soon. So that could be coming in at any moment now. Getting there, 0.30%. Come on, Goldie. I'm gonna give this like how long? Like another hour on the chart, and if we don't get the setup, then they gotta move over to the next session. But definitely building up over here. See. Yeah, always be humble. You must always be humble. I like the sheikhs. Why don't you ask sheikhs? Why don't you go and ask the sheikhs in Dubai why they always wear the same what you call it? That covering, that whatever it is. Why don't you go ask those sheikhs in Dubai? Hey, why don't you change up the outfit every now and then? What is that thing called? What do sheikhs in Dubai wear? It's called wear a white ankle-length loose-fitting robe called kandura. Kandura. Men. Yeah, is it called a kandura? See, why don't you ask this guy why he's not wearing Balenciaga? You must stay humble. The universe loves people who stay humble. People like people who stay humble. You know, doesn't matter how much money you make. Guy go into his wardrobe and all he has are these kanduras. Maybe a few suits every now and then. You know, one of the most richest people in the world going to be dressing in these kanduras. Watching too much Mamba effects, I think that's where the problem is. But I don't blame you because, you know, I also want to get motivation sometimes. And it's nice to see it, but trust me, when Mamba FX goes to bed at night, I don't know if he's happy with the person that he sees in the mirror. You know, if you know a lot about Mamba FX, the guy comes from a very sketchy background. A very sketchy background on a little website called Cornhub. But I'll say no more. So you gotta see these people that you're trying to emulate and think if you really want to emulate those people. So you got a choice between that or the Kandura. How did you come up with Tetra name? Tetra name is, you know, like for example, the triangle, the tetrahedron is one of the most, structurally speaking, strongest geometrical shapes in the universe. So TetraFX is also like a little play on that. So when we look at structure, we're looking for the most strongest structure on the chart. You know, with the highest probability. So that's what it is. Excuse me, Mamba whipped out the Mamba. Yes, sir. Mamba whipped out the Mamba. A lot of these guys, you know, they do things with no integrity. Yeah, they're just really good at sales. Very good salespeople. That's one thing that I can say about the guy. Very, very good salesman. But, you know, when you dig into it, there's a lot of like things which are done behind the curtains, which, you know, you would not be proud of that. And, you know, when we started this channel, we said we were going to do things with integrity. You know, because there's a lot of that already online, that people are doing things without integrity. So I think, you know, until further notice, then I don't see a reason why we should change anything here that we do. You know, we focus on what needs to be focused on, and we put the work where the work needs to be put in. And, you know, time will tell whether people want to appreciate that value or not. And, you know, whether they do or not, we'll keep going. Because, you know, we do it for the minority. We don't do it for the majority. Just until the minority becomes big enough to be the majority. But that's going to come with time. Can we see an all-time high in gold by next week? Yes. Yeah, by next week. If you look at the daily here, you know, price is moving down contrary to what we want to see it do. But don't be fooled by this because, you know, this candle, this was on Friday. This candle was all the way up over here at some point. And then on Friday, it dumped before market close and closed bearish. So we have FOMC today. This candle is down here. By the end of the day, if we get our rate cuts, we should be seeing some bullish momentum come in. And today is Wednesday, and we should see that on Thursday, and we should see it on Friday. And for the rest of the 2 weeks over here, we should see price move up. So that's what I'm anticipating. But at the same time, I wonder why there's selling pressure. You know, like, why is there so much of this selling pressure over here? It doesn't make sense with what we want to see, unless it's just all pricing in the FOMC numbers. That's the only thing that makes sense, you know? Yeah, Mamba FX. Yeah, these guys are, you know, these guys are all snakes. Mamba FX, Lambo, what is it called? Lambo Raul, Alex G. You know, Lambo Raul made like $6 or $7 million selling a bullshit algo. Hey, these guys are all snakes. Is Q Banks a good trader or a salesman? Oh, I don't really have any opinions on Q Banks. When he breaks down his charts, it's kind of confusing, and I'm not sure exactly how he's getting consistent wins. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about him. But yeah, let's not talk about anything. Vic, I thought about a way to make trading marketing business that has Herbalife business model, but I'll keep it hush before the feds get me. I think this guy SCI is more real also than Mamba FX. Not sure who that is. It's a sell the rumor buy the news type event. Yeah, I think like people are really gonna get faked out here. Like the sellers specifically, I think they're gonna get faked out, and then price is just gonna flip there on the daily and create a bottom wick. I'm expecting some serious volume today. If it does end up moving down, am I gonna cry about that and say, oh, my analysis was wrong? No, if it moves down, I'm gonna be looking for sells. I'll be looking for sells tomorrow during the pre-London session time, because then that means that's just the direction, you know. So if price ends up moving down, then we're gonna see like how can we take that sell, because this is like higher time frame. When it comes to higher time frame over here, this is speculation, right? So if you watch the recent video we did about the FOMC, we mentioned that price has the possibility to consolidate, right? And that's what we're getting right now, is this consolidation, this indecision. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what direction that it ends up picking, because right now gold spot doesn't have a direction. Contrary to what you might be thinking, maybe you have like a trend line drawn somewhere over here, but this could go either way. It could break below this and just completely nut, or it can respect that and then skyrocket. But it's not going to be due to that analysis. It's just going to be due to the numbers that we get, the interest rate decisions. TradingView is kind of lagging over there. Oh, damn. TradingView's gone off. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's consolidating. It's accumulating orders here. It's still trying to break out. It's literally just flirting with the idea of breaking that support on the 30-minute time frame. So it's still accumulating. Still accumulating. See, you're getting candlesticks come closer and closer, inching towards 41.92 over there. They're starting to break below it. That TetraFX guy seems legit. I hope so. I mean, he doesn't change his t-shirt, right? So, should be a good guy. No way we get more than 25 bases bias. More than 25 bias. Even if we even get that, Fed can change their mind. You know, the thing is with the market, like sometimes you can get that and you think that price should move, let's say, up, because you get rate cuts, price should move up, and markets could still move down. It's literally the same thing that happened not even too long ago. This was in what is this? This was on the 17th of November. We had escalations. These were geopolitical escalations that we had, like uncertainties in terms of the war that was going on, and price was moving down. And I remember at this point, like we were all wondering, like, how is price moving down? You know, it didn't make any sense why price was moving down, and it was moving down heavily. So yeah, sometimes it can do the opposite, but like trust me, when it comes to rate decisions, there should be a higher probability that price is gonna go up on gold. So all this sell-off over here, this is most likely just pricing in. So I'm not too worried about it at this point. I think it's only on Thursday. When Thursday comes, we're gonna get a clear picture of what we should actually be looking at. But until then, let's just stick with the sentiments. Let's just not be, you know, geniuses and try and be, again, the guy from The Big Short, Michael Burry, and try and figure out the market's going to do the opposite. Just go with the sentiments for now, and whatever it does, we're going to accommodate that and take those positions accordingly, right? Nothing much we can do. We're intraday time frame traders, so most of our trades are going to last, like, majority of this chat, most of your trades, I'm pretty sure, lasting only between 5 minutes to maybe 20 minutes. Majority of this chat's trades. That's how long your trades are lasting. So, you know, at the end of the day, you don't need to figure out the higher time frames to get a profitable trade. You can still counter trade. So right now, for example, price is moving down. I think it should go up, but I'm still going to be looking for sells. Insiders loading their accounts. Does he show entry? Yes. I show entry when entry comes. You think this time will be different? As we mentioned before, this time is a bit special. You know, it's the first time we're coming out of a government shutdown and having these rate decisions. So we shall see. It's a unique situation that we're in. Especially now that we're end of the year. Man, think about this. Since 1979, gold has never been this high on a yearly candlestick. I believe that is like 1979. We have that. We had the government shutdowns, which have not happened since when? 2011 or something like that. You know, we're coming out of a very unique situation. So right now, I think like this could kind of go either way, but we're still expecting that the numbers are gonna, and the market's gonna behave the way it should behave. You know, if 1 + 1 = 2, that's what we're looking for. Weak dollar, bullish gold, correct? That makes the most sense. Why speculate beyond that? But you see, we have this cluster of things which we've never experienced in this fashion before. So I think it's also worth noting. So don't marry a bias. Wait for the key thing that we all need, which is volume, and then flow with the market. If it flows down, flow with it down. If it flows up, flow with it up. You don't, you know, especially after like FOMC events. And let's say you're coming in at the pre-London time and you see markets moving up, it's not the time to be really counter trending, right? Just stick with the flow, especially after FOMC events. We're still in a 1 hour range. All time frames matter until news. Did you win the last trade, brother? Yes. End of year plus profit taking. Also got profit taking. So it's a cluster of a lot of things. Oh, that's another psychological one that we missed, which was the daily percent. So I'll make a video on this. We covered already at the beginning of the stream for those of you who showed up late. But yeah, the another one is called the daily percentage, the daily flip, where the daily bias comes in. That's another psychological point. Because we've seen it time and time again, haven't we, chat? Like every time we get close to that point, markets can sometimes struggle. Even like happened yesterday too. We got right to that point, and market kind of struggled on the first attempt, and then it broke on the second attempt. It paid out, but still within that general region, it found like a resistance, and then it sold off later. That's another important one. So yeah, just stay tuned for a video. It's gonna come out sometime this week. Just waiting on some stuff. Tomorrow's Tokyo is going to be interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting. Asia session tomorrow is gonna be where people are gonna be looking to get in quite early. So if you're trading Asia, planning on trade Asia, yeah, you could be in for a good probability to have runners, right? Runners from the open. But I'll be coming in pre-London. Hopefully price doesn't move up too much by then. Hopefully it's not... hopefully it's below something like 60% maximum, you know? Because tomorrow is going to be a doozy. I think tomorrow we're going to see real volume come in. After analyzing Trading Journal, I found that I lose consistently on FOMC days. Now I no longer trade all... Oh, at all on FOMC days. Okay. Interesting. Losing on FOMC days. Maybe you've put that in your head now that you're going to make yourself losing on FOMC days on purpose. Because, you know, FOMC days is like... I don't know. I just show up. I just show up. Monday to Friday. Markets are open Monday to Friday. So that's my time to shine. Saturday, Sunday, we're going to wait for market to open again on Monday. So I try and remove a lot of these restrictive things that I put on myself. I just show up. Just like I showed up yesterday and volume came in and I didn't expect to be even looking at buys, but ended up taking a buy. Just the same way we show up today. FOMC day or not, just show up. Maybe volume will come in, price will come down. You might find yourself in a good position. But I understand it's very super, you know, like traders like people at the casino who are like gamblers in a sense, because they're very superstitious about things. Those people who trade in who go gamble in casino religiously, very superstitious. They're gonna have like one slot machine. They're gonna have a specific side of the table that they sit in. They're gonna have these kind of like, you know, routines for themselves, these rituals that they do. So I understand that part, because I used to be superstitious as well. You know, when I used to think that Mondays, for example, were my worst trading days. So I didn't like Mondays because, you know, it's setting up. The weekly time frame is setting up. So, you know, Monday, don't trade on a Monday, guys. Then you got the Fridays. Oh, you know, Friday, that's the end of the week over there. So, you know, you're gonna... you know, you're talking... You remember what we spoke about in the beginning of the stream? You gotta speak under your breath. Like, you gotta speak under your breath, and you know, you're gonna think about these 0 decisions that you're making. There's like a 0 decision. Okay, so, but like, just show up, because the market is not the way you think it is all the time. Even on bank holidays, we've seen volume, right? We've seen good volume. And on normal days, we see no volume. But it's good to keep that in mind. Definitely keep it in mind, but don't let it affect your psychology. The last thing that you want is superstitious boogeyman in your head. You know, a lot of time we got boogeyman in our head. Oh, you're gonna take a buy over here because you've been losing so much. Now you think, oh, now this trade is going to hit my stop loss. You know, you gotta get rid of these boogeymen because they don't exist. Remember when you're old enough to know that boogeymen don't exist? So you gotta be... Now, remember we spoke about maturity in the market? Maturity is different in the market than it is in real life. So you still gotta... You know, some of us are still like 7-year-olds. 7-year-old mentality in the market. So we still believe in boogeyman. There's no boogeyman. It's just probabilities. What is the probability of that trade playing out? When you take any kind of trade, what is the probability that it is a winning trade? What is the probability that it is a losing trade? Correct? That's all that it is. Farouk, thank you for the sub, Farouk. I used to have a friend called Farouk in high school, and the guy did, he had like oil tankers. So his family was quite wealthy. They had oil tankers. Very humble guy as well. Dude, this guy, man, I think he was the richest guy in the classroom, but he was the most humble guy. Like you just never know. You know, you just never know, because you could see, like, you know, he was raised in a certain way. Hey, bro, thanks for just checking. Thanks, just checking some live trades here on YouTube. Hey, Farouk, welcome. All right, so, you know, I'm just waiting here again. Price just needs to break below 41.91. And trust me, like, once we break 41.91 and we get closer to that barrier, which is at 0.40% on the daily, we should be seeing more direction come in. Because what you're seeing right now is not really direction. You're just seeing price flirting with support, because it knows that once it gets through this level over here, you have clean range down towards 41.78, which is going to be around, you know, 108 pips. You know, like, this is the same idea that we had this morning on this morning's trade. You know, we took a sell over here, and the idea was price at clean range all the way down towards support by 42.02. See, the sell came up here and price moved all the way down towards here. So we're waiting for like a similar situation, just to give us a better probability of a winning trade, right? Because if we're going to take a trade, why not take a trade with a high probability? Why just take a trade to take a trade for stream and entertainment, you know? Why? When we can make some money here, why take a trade just for entertainment when you can actually take a trade for, like, you know, some kind of consistency? Why waste your bullets on entertainment? If you're bored, go watch Netflix. They just bought Warner Brothers, you know, maybe they're going to have some nice shows on there. Go and watch Batman. But when it comes to the charts, you gotta treat this like a job. You know, you got a job here to do. And the job's not finished. Waiting is part of it, you know? It's like 90% of it. So just wait. This 5 a.m. Eastern candlestick is the last point in time that we're waiting. Beyond this 5 a.m. Eastern candle, don't rely too much on that sell-off below 41.92. Because then that means that since we were not able to break that level throughout the whole London session, that there's no reason to marry that bias anymore. And we might be seeing a price start to move up instead. So, you know, this is where timing plays an important role. So this 5 a.m. Eastern candle, it needs to start breaking below here. If it doesn't, then, you know, it could still break later, but there's a lower chance that we break it. So don't marry it too much. You see, like, previous candles been closing bearish here. We closed below support. Hourly is doing like a wick fill situation. This hourly candle, you see, we got like 41 minutes. It's creating a top wick. Sometimes the candles move towards the end of the candle closure. So it's already created a top wick. Now we just need to re-break its lows. Once it re-break, like if this candle here reflips, if you look at the way it looks now, yeah, if it reflips and re-breaks its lows, then there's a pretty good chance that volume is coming in. Right? Because what does a break of a low mean? Or what does that signify? You know, signifies some kind of a direction, some momentum. That's why we always wait for wicks to break. Right? That's the same reason why even on this trade over here, we waited for a wick to break. Because you see, when a wick breaks, It shows you direction and it shows you momentum. If the wick doesn't break, then it's less probability. Yes, every day you lose a trade, you take off trading plan. In 3 months, let me bring that here. In 3 months, you will trade no day. The good thing is you are all BE all days. Money in the bank. Thoughts on NASDAQ? NAS 100. Oh, NQ. Yes, that's true. A lot of FEG traders like NQ. Let's see. Price here is okay. So we got a daily resistance. You know, NQ is one of those things I always like think a buy is a play, because if you look at NQ on the monthly time frame, look how NQ moves. It's just predominantly bullish, right? So whenever like someone take a sell on NQ, it feels like it's gonna be a losing trade. So I think NQ already has some kind of a bias towards the upside on the HTF. So if you look at the daily just broke above, what's this, like 2564, 25,648. It's creating a support, right? It's creating a support. If we break above this resistance over here, you know, price can keep moving up. NQ, remember, is also related with the dollar. So what's going to happen is with the FOMC today, NQ could just be range bound up until FOMC. Right, so also you can see that on the daily time frame. It's in a very compressed region. You got daily resistance, break and retest zone. Even if you don't use the break and retest zone, you got a support right over here. So NQ is stuck within a range. And let's see, if you really wanted to trade it, I'll be very, very cautious. I'll be very cautious. NQ right now is only up 0.09%. I would wait for at least the daily bias indicator to flip either bullish or bearish before you start looking for things on NQ. But let's see on the intraday time frame, you're breaking below 15-minute support. Looks like it might retrace down towards this next level, kind of like fill up this clean range that it has over here. So that's currently what's happening. Let's go on the 5, see if there's any candle closure. Nah, there was no candle closure. This thing just ripped down, but even the 5-minute looked clean as well to clean that range. So, you know, there's two types of people in this world. There's the FEG traders who are going to do something like this and take a buy. And there's the people who are going to trade through that zone. You know, so that's currently what's happening now. Price is trading through that zone. It already had the reaction. Maybe that's something you're looking for. But now it's like doing what it should be doing, which is breaking below support, breaking wicks, confirming direction to the downside. So that's what NQ is. So if you're not paying attention to NQ, I think you kind of like missed, in a sense, missed the sell. But question is, could you have gotten an entry confirmation? You know, if there's no entry confirmation, then you didn't miss anything. But it's definitely in a distribution phase right now. It's paying out the sellers on NQ. So what can you do now? I think like the best thing to do is wait for price to come down, create a support, and then look for an area where you can like fill up that range back up again. Because this is like clockwork, right? You see this? Look at how it's like beautifully correcting that. You know, I can say this thing like every day on stream, but I don't know if it like people truly understand what I am saying when I say that these ranges get mopped up. I don't know if you truly understand the power of what I'm saying. And that's creating an opportunity for you later. Because it's like that itch, you know, we spoke about markets having an itch on its back. Right? It's that itch, it can never scratch that itch. So this is like, it's going to go back again and try and see if it can scratch that itch. So it's going to have a range and it's going to move up again. So we'll see if that happens. We'll just leave this analysis over here and see what happens. Because, you know, as it's coming down towards these support levels, which are creating a lot of speed bumps. So it's harder for it to move down. So the next path of least resistance would be a small retracement up. And then maybe it attempts to move down again if it wants to keep moving down. But right now, essentially, price has just moved from point A down towards point B. And that's it. Now you just gotta wait. So it's quite interesting how the market is elusive like that. I've noticed that quite a bit. Like you can get on the chart, and the moment you open a chart, the move is already done. And you're like, damn, how do I keep getting on when the move is already done? You know, sometimes I think that's gonna happen to you. You're gonna realize this. Oh, look at that. 5 minute just closed here, and the next one just dumped. Closed without a bottom wick. It just broke through that level. Holy. Yeah, so it's still creating that range for us here as it's getting through the support now. So, you know, the idea here is it wouldn't 100% always reject it, but trust me, if you got in a sell here, there's a higher probability it rejects it here. So you want to still manage or secure something at that point. Even if it goes through that level, that's just a bonus. Holy. Oh, man. Can we get some of this on gold? Come on. NQ selling like this. This is what I want to see gold do right now. Get through that 30-minute support. Damn, Daniel. Look at that. We should start trading NQ. You know what's wild? These moves are so big, but daily is only down 0.04%. It's a doji. The daily just flipped. It's still a doji. So there's still really no direction. I think that's where the volume came in like that too. You got the daily flip, man. This thing is mopping up. This thing is just mopping up. Some people are going to be looking for buys now. Best thing is to think in that situation is just let it go and think new move will come for sure. You just need to do the hardest part in trading. Wait and do nothing. Yes. But you see something like this, man, people love these moves. Right? This is like an oversold RSI situation here. But very dangerous because it's a falling knife. So yeah, the best thing to do would be to sit on your hands and wait for market to come down again and set up, and then you're gonna have a move. You're gonna have a stress-free move. Isn't it much nicer getting a stress-free move that, you know, it sets up for you, it gets ready for you, then it has the move, rather than always just trying to chase the move? You see, like here on gold, essentially, when this breaks out, what you're gonna think is you've missed the move, because it's most probably gonna look like something heavy. It could look heavy like this, right? It could look quite heavy as it comes down to correct that 30-minute range. But that's kind of what you want to see, right? You want to see direction, and then during that direction, be patient for it to come down, and then get on the next continuation. But if it just bleeds, don't worry about it. Don't chase the market. Don't feel FOMO. Because that's what it wants you to feel. Because it knows if it gets you in certain situations, it basically will push you to breaking your rules. The market's really good at that. That's why a lot of the time what's going to happen is, especially when you're still learning how about candlestick closes and you keep missing your moves, basically you will eventually break a rule, because you've seen it miss moves so many times that you'll break a rule, and then that's a rule that's going to make you lose a trade, to only find out later on during the day that if you had waited for your setup, it would have been a winning trade. So market is really good at doing that. Don't ask me how, it just is. It happened to me yesterday. It made me break my rule slightly, and then I took a loss for it, and then later I took the trade I was meant to take and got the result I was meant to get, right? But it's just really good at squeezing you, and you're gonna experience it. Don't take my word for it. Maybe some of you have not yet experienced it because you're still profitable, because they're still doing the same thing. It's a recurring pattern. And the solution is not to do the opposite, because I know some people are pretty smart in the chat over here. We got some geniuses here who say that, okay, if I lose a lot of the time, maybe I'm going to take the opposite of my trade and do the opposite of my strategy. But you know where that becomes difficult? It becomes difficult. Let me tell you where your shortcomings are going to be. Your shortcomings are going to be with the structure. Because the structure on your opposite trade will not always look as consistent as your structure on your enter model. Like, you know, that thing that gets you in the trade should look consistent. So if you start doing the opposite, whatever you're flipping there it may not be consistent. Maybe the stop loss placement is not going to be consistent. Something's not going to be consistent, so you can still lose even if you do the opposite. Your stop losses can still get hit. And I know this because I've tried this. Now look at this. Price is coming down over here. 0.37. Would it actually be 0.40 if it breaks these lows? because we just got a candlestick close below. Oh man, it's right at 0.37. We just got a candlestick close on the 15 below support. We got clean range. On the left hand side, we're creating a top wick. I want to see how this is going to look, because we're right on the verge of 0.40%. It's creating quite a strong top wick. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't get in. I did not get in. It's not 0.40%. It's just gonna flip. This now it's 0.40%. But it was right on the verge of it. See, daily bias now is flipping. Daily bias now is flipping. Yeah, that was a key area. It created, you know, the thing is, it created a really nice top wick over there. There was a really nice top wick that formed, so that was looking quite appetizing on that 15 minute. But it was still not part of what I was waiting for. And we also got, what, new 30-minute candlestick that opened up too. All right, nice. Yeah, it's currently in distribution phase. See if it can create some structure over here for the continuation downwards. Anybody execute a sell here? Yeah. What's that? Oh, don't worry. It's still gonna set up. Just be a little patient. Just getting my lot size here already. How much was that push right here? Oh, damn, 34 pips. That's pulling back up. Yeah, just gotta wait. It needs to keep pushing down. You got top. Even after 30 pips. Oh, sorry guys, my internet's bugging a bit. It's coming back into the gulag. Not what we want to see you do. We want to see you follow through. It's like a V-shaped reversal. No loss, no worries. Yeah, I think like break even would have been the best point then at that situation, because even after like 30 pips, it should just keep going if that was what it wanted to do. I don't know what happened. Like my internet started bugging over here when volume was coming in. I don't know if that ever happens to you guys too. Like sometimes when volume comes in and then for whatever reason technology stops working. Well, if it happens to you, you're not alone. Happens to me too. Buy time? No. You know, the interesting thing about this trade and why I was considering taking an early entry was because the candlestick closed below support. So when the candle closed like this happened like quite quick. When the candle closed and created a top wick, it did create an interesting situation for a push like this. I was also on the 30 minute. You see like how the 30 closed over here, then we created a top wick, then it rebroke the lows. It created a very interesting situation. You see, and it actually had that really nice reaction. This is basically like a shotgun entry over here. What do you think of news later? Yeah, it's 100% going to affect gold. Now on the 5 minute, it looks like a liquidity grab. Looks like what do you call that thing? A morning star pattern, which is forming over here. So it pushed down. Essentially what it did was it pushed down. It paid off the traders, but no one was willing to keep selling price. So, you know, price eventually came back to correct itself. So there was just an opportunity that set up for a quick move. But it looks like price itself, or you can think of the market itself, was not ready to actually have that follow through. Because yeah, you can have the push, but the market will still decide whether it wants to keep going or not, correct? That's why we say, that's why there's that saying that says buyers and sellers make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So you see a situation like this, with like John, you took a trade over here and it was a profitable trade, but you know, we wanted a bit more, but you see the market had a different thing in mind. So people were able to get in and get out. But if we're going to be looking for a much bigger move, we really need the market to be ready for that move. But you don't have to be right. That's a good thing about trading. You don't have to be right. You just have to make money, right? You don't have to be right about it selling off. But if you can get a quick trade like this, that's already accomplishment right there. Because it's harder to be right when the market would start to chop around like this, for example. Because there's only going to be one distribution. Sometimes it happens on the first break, and then sometimes it takes a few tries. I think these are the lows of the day. Well, we'll wait and see. It did flirt with the daily bias flipping back bearish. Yeah, let's wait. Almost gave what I wanted to see it. What I wanted to see it do. Almost gave that entry. In 1 hour, you can see well to the left. The reason it's up now, because if it closes below, it would just keep running. All right, let's see the hourly. Interesting fact, like hourly time frame hasn't had a move yet too. See, it's still a doji. It attempted to, but not yet. Well, it had one move, but it's not had the move. Still got about 17 minutes there. Would be nice for the hourly to come down and then create that structure, and then we just get the rest of this right here down towards support. We need to like stop re-breaking these lows with the setup. You see, the thing is, like, it's a very important, this 5 a.m. Eastern is a very important one, because if this doesn't follow through, then, you know, at this point, going into pre-New York in the next 20 minutes, we might see some pullbacks. Because this is a London direction, right? So you see, since the London open here, price has been moving downwards. So that's what we want to see. See if we can break that accumulation on the 1 minute. See, you don't want to be buying this. If you look at the way price is moving right now, it hasn't created any new market structure. So you got lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. You aren't seeing anything like this happening, for example. So still looking for sells. Also, have you heard that the retrieve the gold pendant that dude swallowed? Breaking news indeed. Eventually he was gonna have to give it up, right? So backtesting now on the higher time frame to confirm the opportunity. I'm seeing on 9:30. Wow, we are so close. It's so funny. Like these setups have been happening right at that 0.40 area, 0.40 area. Wait, didn't this already happen yesterday too? What time was this? This was at 5:31. And when was yesterday's? Yesterday was at 5:17. Okay, this was more towards the end. Or like midway that it broke. But it's basically like the same thing. Yesterday was also coming really close to 0.40. It had the push and then it had kind of a reversal. See, it's like right here. It had a push. That was at 5:17 actually, yeah. 5:17 it had the push and then it had the reversal. So something quite interesting happening with that 5 a.m. Eastern candle over here. But you see with this one, it kind of fizzled out. It fizzled out and then consolidated. Whereas the one today actually looks like we may get that continuation. See, it's still attempting to break the lows over here. It did not break the highs. Right? It still respected the highs. Like it's trying to break the lows, trying to distribute from here. So I was thinking this is going to be the start of it. Sell off. Kind of like fill that wick. Over here on the 5-minute, keep coming down and then keep shooting for the hourly support down by 41.79. And that's the game plan. That's the game plan. Can we get a follow through? Will I go on a trade on stream today? Well, that depends on if the market gives me the trade. You know, that's going to be in the next 0.5% it drops. I wish it was like right here. This is also a setup. Break of these lows. If this next candle here could do it, if this next candle has enough volume in it, break those lows, have a little clean range down towards that support, like 24 pips. It's essentially the same thing that happened here. That's the same thing that happened here. It's happening here in a different version. It's still like breakout. So you had price have this zone and then break through that zone, right? But if there's no volume, then this candle will not break. Maybe we'll create another support and then the next candle breaks. That'll be a better situation. It's kind of funny because you think if you would miss this move, you didn't really miss the move because it came back up, reset up a potential entry here, then it's going to re-break at even a better entry than the first break was by 5 pips. Sometimes the market does that, right? Like you're going to have your first entry and then it sets up the second one, which is the one that actually plays out, like fully plays out. Even though this was a really good move already. But for me, I'm still waiting on that continuation. I would love to see one like below here. Greetings, sir. Hey, greetings. It's distributing now. Hit that wick. See if it can go through it. Important thing is we don't remain range bound. You can see on the 30 minutes during a break and retest off of this area over here. Important thing is we get through these zones. Right? We get through that support over there. Because this would be ideally the last section it could fill. And if it fills this section, then, you know, at that point it can range up until FOMC. But this would be kind of like the last section, because below that, there's nothing really much, because you got to look back and you're going to be looking really back to find structure. Yeah, but anyway, that's the game plan here, Chad. Wait for price to move down a bit more. I would say just get that commitment. Get the daily bias indicator. It's in the description box. It's going to tell you when it's ready. Wait for it to come down a bit more. And then wait for the entry confirmation. And then, you know, you should be having a pretty good trade to the downside at that point. But until we get that daily bias flip, then at this point, it's, you know, we're still thinking whether we're going to just consolidate back above this area 41.93 up until FOMC. I'm kind of hoping to still get the trade like in any second, but it's past pretty much my trading time. I think like you should always set yourself like trading times. But it's tempting because I see the volume is starting to pick up right now. It's about to drop. If it's gonna drop. Now, problem is becoming a slave to the market, because if it doesn't drop, we gotta sit here for the next, I don't know how many minutes. It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes at this time we would leave stream and then markets would just consolidate and not give us what we want for like an hour. But then you end up getting like a slave to the market. All right. 0.39%. So watching every tick. Okay, check my last message. Let's see. Trying a new strategy for gold, and I don't currently have TradingView Premium for backtesting. Is there anywhere that allows free live backtesting? Yeah, it's called Soft4FX. Go on Soft4FX. So SOFT 4 number 4 FX. So with the free version of this, you can do like 5 trades. So the problem here is like securing partials. You can't really secure partials because it's going to count as a trade if you secure a partial. But you could do 5 trades, so every backtesting session. And the software costs about like, you know, $100. $100 for a lifetime license. It's the one that we use when we do like the simulations. Yeah, so you can use this one. Soft4FX is pretty good. What's this, Ricardo? We whipping gold. Giving gold some whips. This is Einstein. Why is Einstein whipping a fence? Oh, who is that? This is definitely getting weaker. You can definitely sense, but buyers are going to be coming in at any moment on gold. Because if today's FOMC and we're expecting rate cuts, gold should skyrocket up. So yeah, you mentioned already this could be the lows of the day. It could be the lows of the day. It's usually typical effect where like it pushes strong and then it pulls up, yeah? And then that could be the low of the day for price to move up bullish. Yeah, because these buyers are just lurking. They're lurking. They're lurking. So if we get a sell, chat, I think it's like we're gonna get possibly one of the last sell confirmations, because the buyers are really lurking. Unless this was the last sell confirmation here from that accumulation before. Could start switching up as we go into pre-New York. See, timing is super important, chat. That's why for me during this time, it's a different PA that I'm looking at. Yeah, this time I'm looking at those potential opposite moves as well. Different timing from when we saw London up until this point. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you want to take the safer route from what price is currently doing right now, it's still moving down. It hasn't created structure to the upside yet. I would say sells once the daily bias flips down bearish, and then you get your setup. It's basically this, and then you can take a sell. Or if price starts to push up from this point, wait for the same confirmations but towards the bullish direction, because those could also just be the daily lows forming an inverted head and shoulders here too. You got left shoulder, head, right shoulder, start pulling up again. You see, timing is very important here when it comes to such things. But I'm gonna call it a session. It's been a pretty long wait over here, and I will see you all tomorrow after FOMC. Let's see what the fireworks are gonna be saying. Hopefully when we come onto stream, price is gonna be bullish. We're gonna take a buy, probably right off the rip. If we're gonna be already bullish, you know, sometimes we take trades on stream like literally when London opens, or even before London opens. So watch out for that. We're gonna have a fast-paced market environment tomorrow potentially. Whereas today it's kind of like still setting up. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Take care.